Hello, Archer nurses, and welcome to our Wednesday edition of our Next Gen Nurses free webinar series. My name is Jennifer Bonner. I serve as the tutor team lead here at Archer Review, and I am so excited to have you guys joining us today. Now, today's webinar is a little bit different than what we have done in the past. So if you'll notice, you have a new face here on your screen joining us for our webinar. So a lot of times when you think about Archer Review, you think about our NCLEX prep, you think about nursing school, maybe APRN, but we do a whole lot more than just that. And so I am delighted to introduce you to Lance, who's going to be telling us all about all the exciting things that he does for us here at Archer Review. Lance, we are so excited to have you joining us today. Thank you so much.
Hi, hello everyone, and thank you, Jennifer. Hi, Archer nurses. I hope all of you are doing well. In this webinar, I'm going to be going over our NCLEX processing guidance for our foreign graduate nurses. But I first want to start off by introducing myself. My name is Lance Tan. I'm with Archer Review as their NCLEX processing specialist, and I have my personal experience applying for several states as a foreign graduate, including gathering educational and licensure credentials, going through the application forms and requirements, and contacting the Board of Nursing for my personal questions in terms of my own NCLEX application. So next slide, please. What this session will cover is what the NCLEX processing application looks like for foreign graduates, because I know that can be overwhelming and a challenge of its own. Different challenges faced by foreign graduates, specifically with applying for the NCLEX. How Archer Review can support and help out these foreign graduates through our NCLEX processing service, and what that service looks like, and also just a quick overview of our Archer Review NCLEX prep products. First, I want to start off going through the actual NCLEX application process as a foreign graduate. I want to also just give a quick overview of what the NCLEX is. So, the NCLEX, or the National Council Licensure Examination, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with, is a standardized exam that nursing graduates must pass to become licensed nurses in the US and Canada. So there are two types, which are the NCLEX RN for registered nurses and the NCLEX PN, which are for practical or vocational nurses. So what are the steps in order to apply for the NCLEX? So first, you apply for the licensure with the nursing regulatory body, which means choosing the state or region where you want to be licensed, because each state or each board of nursing essentially has their own respective requirements. A lot of the states have their own differing requirements, so you need to choose the state that you are applying for. And once you apply for that licensure in that state, you're exclusively working in that state, unless you transfer or endorse that state license into a different region. And then after you've decided, you need to submit an application for the licensure to the state's Board of Nursing. You pay for the state licensure application fees. You send your nursing school transcripts, and oftentimes this your school does this for you as long as you coordinate it with your university's registrar. And some states do require background checks and fingerprints, which we'll talk about more later in the slides. And then the next step would be to register for the NCLEX with Pearson VUE. So Pearson VUE is an international testing company that's affiliated with the NCLEX. So once you get the eligibility from the Board of Nursing that you're cleared to take the NCLEX, they're gonna make you go to the Pearson VUE NCLEX website. You make an account and register for the NCLEX. You pay for the exam fee, so this is gonna be different from the licensure application fee. This is Pearson VUE's exam fee, which right now costs 200 US dollars for the US exams, and then you wait to receive your authorization to test, sorry, or the ATT code via email. And the next step would be to schedule your exam. So once that ATT code gets to your email, you use that code to schedule your exam still through Pearson VUE. You choose a testing site and date. So if you're in the US, there might be a testing site near you. If you're in a foreign country, then there might be a few testing sites in your country, or you might just have to go to a nearby country that has that Pearson VUE testing site. And of course, once you're on that testing date, you need to bring the valid documents that you're going to present to the test center. And then the next step would be to take the NCLEX. The exam is Computer Adaptive or CAT, which means Computer Adaptive Test, meaning it adjusts to the difficulty of the question based on your answer. So you get between 85 to 150 questions, and that's the current NCLEX new generation or new generation NCLEX. That's the current test plan of the NCLEX, and you have up to 5 hours to complete the test. Now, after you complete the test, of course, you're going to receive your results. The official results come from your state board of nursing in about 6 weeks, or some states offer quick results. They're called unofficial results that you can find through Pearson VUE after 48 hours for a small fee. Now, moving on, what are the challenges faced by foreign graduates? So, a lot of the challenges faced by foreign graduates, one being the credential evaluation. So, oftentimes, a lot of the states do require a credential evaluation service, a third-party evaluation service such as CGFNS, for students to send their credential evaluation for their educational and licensure credentials to get evaluated. So they're kind of like the middleman. So this is the Board of Nursing, and then the middleman is the Credential Evaluation Service, and then it's you. So you send your credentials, your evaluation your educational credentials and your licensure credentials to that middleman, which is the CES or Credential Evaluation Service. And then they'll evaluate that and then they'll give that report to the Board of Nursing. And of course, the next part is just coordinating with your university and the licensure registry. Some states do require you to submit a licensure verification form from your original country where you're originally licensed as an RN. And if you live in the US already, it can be a hassle having to coordinate with your university's registrar or the licensure registry that granted you your license. Oftentimes, a lot of the students that I talk to with the NCLEX processing services, they have to coordinate with an authorized person, whether it's a family or a relative, in order to speak with their nursing school or that licensing board in order to get them their requirements. And of course, each of the states have their own requirements, their own respective requirements. One big main requirement would be the social security number. So, as a foreign graduate, if you're not a permanent resident or a citizen in the US, then most likely you don't have an SSN. And then most of the states in the US do require that US Social Security number. So you are limited to a few select states in the US where you can apply without that SSN requirement. And a lot of them do have background check requirements also, which is usually done through fingerprinting. So if you're located in the state that you are trying to apply for, then it's going to be easy. You can just go to a local fingerprinting service. But then if you're coming from a different country or you're living out of state from the state that you're trying to apply to, then you might have to go through a different process and you might have to send in your fingerprinting by mail. And of course, English proficiency tests. Of course, like I said earlier, each state has their own respective requirements and instructions. Some states require the English proficiency test, like the IELTS or the PTE. There are a lot of options in terms of the English proficiency tests, but most states do require this if your education was not conducted in English. And in a few states, they do require this whether or not your nursing program was conducted in English. So we just have to thoroughly read the application requirements for each state board of nursing. Now, how Archer Review can help. I know what I said regarding the challenges faced by foreign graduates can be overwhelming. It sounds overwhelming, and you might find it difficult where to start. So here in Archer Review, we offer free NCLEX processing guidance in which you can either ask us questions via email or book a NCLEX processing session through Zoom with us where we can assess what your goals are, what state you are applying for, your eligibility and list of requirements, and what your timeline may look like, and up till scheduling for the exam. So next slide, please. In terms of our one-on-one session, we do an initial assessment where we ask you, what country did you get your nursing education from? What state in the US or what region are you trying to apply for the NCLEX to where you're going to get your RN license or your PN license? And another thing is your residency status, because we have to find out if you're eligible and if the state you're applying for requires a social security number. Now, in that session, also, we'll try to create a list where we can track your application, where we list down a bunch of the requirements and what would be the perfect timeline and sequencing for you to do in terms of submitting and taking care of each step of your application, whether it's gathering your educational credentials, your transcripts, that licensure verification, taking the English exams, and taking any coursework that that state requires you to take. And of course, after that session, we can keep tracking your application process either via email or you can rebook another one-on-one Zoom session with us. It is free, so we have those options where we can still keep in track and keep in touch in terms of how we can support you throughout your NCLEX processing journey. And our email is nclexprocessing@archerreview.com. Here you can ask us general or specific questions about starting your NCLEX application journey or your current NCLEX application, or if you want to inquire about doing a one-on-one Zoom session with us so we can get on this initial assessment and creating a timeline creation for you, then you can go ahead and email us at this email. Now, after we've talked about the NCLEX application journey, now it's time for preparing for the NCLEX, for the actual test itself. Now, NCLEX is not just about knowledge, but it's about strategy and critical thinking. That's why preparation matters. And here in Archer Review, we offer a variety of NCLEX prep products. We have our practice questions with rationales, our CAT or computer adaptive tests that can simulate the difficulty of the NCLEX, on-demand lectures and live reviews, and study plans customized for international students. I know a lot of our international nurses who are applying for the NCLEX are also working in the hospital in their country. So creating a study plan, we have our 6-week study plan and our 12-week study plan can help you stay focused, not get distracted, while still be proactive in terms of getting your application done, even when you have to work in the hospital several days a week. And of course, we've received some good reviews in terms of our NCLEX prep products. As you can see here, a lot of our students have passed in their first take and also around 85 to 90 questions. So the minimum amount of questions you can answer with the NCLEX. So like this comment, some of the comments here, they come from the Philippines, from India. We also have a lot of students from countries in Africa. So a lot of foreign graduates are being assisted through our NCLEX processing service, and also they're using the NCLEX prep products in order for them to succeed in the NCLEX and get their US RN license. Now, our most recommended package, which is our Sure Pass combo, this is actually what I used in order to pass my NCLEX, and I did take it on my first try. I did pass it on my first try. And this includes the on-demand videos, the question bank, and the 3-day live review. I think this is the perfect package for foreign graduates because I know a lot of the foreign graduates that I've talked to, they have graduated for a long time. They might have graduated 10 to 15 years ago and they might have forgotten the key essential key points that the NCLEX does question their students. So just taking the short pass combo and following that study calendar will get you prepared and ready to succeed for the NCLEX. And you can go ahead and scan the QR code to your left, which is the short pass combo for the NCLEX RN, and then to the right, it's the NCLEX PN short pass combo. So once you scan that QR code, you can just go to the website and learn more about our products. And um, also, we have our webinar exclusive, which if you use the code I love Archer when you check out with our Archer prep products, Archer review prep products, you get 10% off. So thank you for everyone who's watching uh, this webinar. I'm glad to answer any questions you guys might have. And if you don't make it to the live viewing of this webinar, then we can also go ahead and answer those questions through the comment section once this video is posted. But if there are any questions, hello Lance, I'm a nurse from Chile and I want to know if the NCLEX processing is free or I have to pay any fee. The NCLEX processing is free. So you can go ahead and email us and we'll get back to you with the questions you might have, or you can also book a one-on-one session with us through our Zoom scheduling link, which is going to be on our next slide, actually. So you just have to type in this link, or we can also post this in the comment section of this live, or also inquire through our email um, if you have any questions. I would like to check with you, diploma nurses, if diploma nurses are eligible for the NCLEX. So that is gonna depend. Like I said earlier, each state has their own respective requirements and eligibility criteria. And that's something we can talk about also in our one-on-one session, in our one-on-one NCLEX processing session through Zoom, or whether you would like to inquire it through email. Um, I know a lot of the application information you have to provide is private and confidential, so I don't want to answer them in this webinar, but I'm glad to answer them either through email or through our personal private one-on-one session.
Awesome, Lance. Thank you so much for joining us. You bring
Um,
such a wealth of information to our students, and I am delighted to have you for your very first webinar here with Archer Review. We're just so excited to have you and just the excitement and just the knowledge that you bring to the table for international nurses, helping to break things down, making it a more seamless process. One student is asking here in the Q&A, is it good to finish studying the content first, then go with the question bank, or do them both together? What do you think?
Personally, I tried doing both at the same time. So I would go ahead and do the practice questions. And then just so I know what information I've retained from nursing school. And then after that, I go ahead and check what questions I missed. And those are the ones I'm going to focus on and really dig down in terms of watching the content. And what's so good about Arch Review SurePass is once I answer the questions and go to my rationales, and when I'm reviewing my missed questions, it will actually take me to that specific topic that I missed. Uh, to go to the on-demand video lecture, which I can watch more about, and then I'll just go ahead and retake the practice questions specifically to that topic or this focused area that I missed in order to really master that subcategory or that subtopic.
That's a great point. The other thing I wanted to point out is that if you are someone who's been out of school for several years and are kind of going back to the basics, we have something called our Intense Prep Program, which is a kind of a boot camp. It is a small group of students in a cohort that go through the information together. You attend live lectures, and then weekly, you're going to receive feedback from the tutor that is guiding you through that information, telling you, Hey, Lance, it looks like you're doing really well in maternity and pharmacology, but it looks like we could use some help in mental health. And so here's some things that I'd recommend in order to boost those scores. So if that's something that you're interested in, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. I'm going to put our email in the chat for you, nclextutors@archerreview.com. And we are happy to answer any of those questions for you. So thank you guys so much for joining us. We are delighted to have you.
Bye.
Thank you for being a part of our Archer Review family, and we will see you back next time.
See you,
Thanks, guys. Thank
everyone.
you, Lance,
Stay
for
safe.
help for
Thank
having
you,
or for being here. We
Jennifer.
appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye bye.